Good morning, beautiful souls. Namaste to each one of you. So today we are going to do fastest finger.
Namaste.
Namaste. So yesterday I explained everyone about how important it is for our every relationship, for our health, and every aspect of our life to draw healthy boundaries. And before we go further, where all can we draw boundaries? What are the different kinds of boundaries we require? We first want to clear our own blocks because yesterday we did the downloads and opened up ourselves to allow ourselves to be able to draw boundaries. Now, you all would have gone the situations in life where probably you felt that you couldn't establish healthy boundaries or you couldn't establish any boundaries only for whatever reason. So, whoever is the one who says first, I would like to take them on the platform and ask what happened to them, why they couldn't establish the boundary. You're required to press and let us know so that Mahek can unmute you and you can come on the platform. Or else I'm assuming that every one of you knows how to draw boundaries and you're very successful with it. No one? Everyone knows how to draw boundaries. Good. This Friday we'll have no question answers. Everybody is perfect in drawing boundaries. Is there anyone who feels they cannot draw boundaries in their relationship? Kavita.
Yeah. Hi.
Hi.
So, wonderful sessions you're having. It's very.
Switch on your video.
Oh, you want my video?
Yeah. I connect to the energies. Are there two things on in your room because it's echoing?
Yes, there are, because there's a speaker which is on. Okay, I've silenced the speaker now.
Yeah.
Okay. So, is there a process of drawing the boundaries? What is the process? How do we draw the boundaries?
So number one, as I explained, Kavita, yesterday, only when we have clarity and we have the clear beliefs that it is important for a healthy relationship, because majority relationships end up having regrets, resentment, anger. Because what we are expecting out of people, and they are completely their own self, like they have a completely different upbringing, different way of dealing with situations. Life has happened to them also, and they have learned different mechanism. And
right.
that is a part of you which doesn't accept it, and then you are very irritated about it. But probably if there is a clarity that this is the only thing which I am saying, this is who I am, and that I get to know when I understand my own self better. But this is what I can take, this is what I cannot do. If somebody is constantly expecting me every day to do this thing, I cannot do that. So if from the beginning I have drawn boundary, it is easier. So number one, knowing yourself. Number two, having clarity. Number three, respecting and honoring, to listen to people's no, and respecting and honoring yourself for being able to say no to people.
Right.
But in spite of that, many times we cannot. And that happens because when any relationship begins, for example, you apply for a job. And
no, I got it.
I'm not giving you that you applied for a job. I'm just giving a general example.
No, I wanted to know, is there a process? A process means how do we do it? One is you write a contract, as you said yesterday.
No, every relationship, you may not be able to write a contract. When I'm saying boundaries, what I'm saying is that with anyone and everyone, knowing at what extent you want your relationship to go. And probably, like, every person that I come across, I may not be able to write a contract there. If I am doing a session on daily theta, like if you all are expecting something, I will not write a contract and say that only this much I will do and this much I will not do, right? So how much I am giving and where I say no is me choosing and deciding my own boundaries. Where did Kavita disappear? Okay, I cannot see her anymore. Yeah.
Thank you. Got
Yeah.
it.
Got
Yes.
it? So,
Yeah.
like, just simple example that the group shuts down in that 1 hour is drawing boundary. That we were here. If you really wish to communicate with us, you communicate with us during that time. But if you feel that throughout we are available, that's not going to happen. So saying no at that point of time is drawing boundary. So letting people know about it is drawing boundary. Got it?
Sangeeta, my connection is very weak. That's why I don't put on my video. So
Okay. No, so I want anyone who feels that in spite of that, they are unable to draw boundaries. If there any doubt, any fear that they have. Is there anybody else than Kavita here? Probably.
Hi, Sangeeta, Tanvi here.
Hi, Tanvi.
Uh, from
Tanvi, your connection is also weak.
no, I just woke up. I don't think I'm in a state to switch on the video.
I realized that from your voice.
Uh, from yesterday's talk and what has been playing on my mind has been that I seem to have an issue drawing boundaries in what I let in. So many a times in relationships, yes, I'm able to draw boundaries. But in terms of what impacts me, even sometimes at an energetic level, what I subconsciously let in, that is where I'm having a tough time drawing boundaries. So I only take in stuff that actually belongs to me or that actually should impact me positively.
Okay. So one of the major reasons, Tanvi, is that though you are saying that I normally have a boundary in my relationship, when there is a point of vulnerability for each one of us when it comes to our close relationships. Because no matter what we say, at one point we become needy or greedy in that relationship. Probably the other person makes you feel special, wanted, loved by. And in any case, people with whom we stay in the family, our auras are constantly merging. And wherever our auras are merging, our subconscious does not understand the difference between our own thought pattern and their own thought pattern. And there is a point of vulnerability for us right there. And then that doesn't allow our energy body to draw the boundary very, very clearly. It makes us vulnerable at that point of time. So as long as the energy body is like merging with each other, your auras are merging, that is still okay. But if you really know exactly where to say no and that amount of sensitivity, because our sensitivity impacts our energy body. If I am a very sensitive person by nature, and probably that sensitivity is being defined from my childhood experiences, a lot of my previous experiences. So that really requires ourselves to do certain work on us. Are you getting my point? For example, as a child, when the child doesn't understand boundaries, child doesn't understand any of these things. First 8 years, they are still operating from the subconscious mind. That time, if child has witnessed things happening in the family, child has become sensitive about it. Child has developed a lot of limiting beliefs about it. And after that, if the pattern continues and that person gets in a relationship where your limiting belief impacts you to attract a particular kind of relationship. Is that too technical for people? Are you getting it? For example, if I say I am being unloved by, or they have witnessed parents fighting, one of the parents shouting, screaming. So shouting is the only way you can establish your authority. Shouting is the only way people hear me out. Because probably the child saw father shouting and then everybody listening. And as much as the child is angry towards father for doing that, unknowingly child picks up the same pattern unless and until you have the mindfulness. And the lot of people have the mindfulness. They start reading books. They start, for example, like, you are on the group, you are listening to it. But things just do not change with your mindfulness. It has to be quite a bit of determination to bring that change into your reality. And that's why yesterday I said, start with small steps in your life. So the minute you realize, and that small step starts happening, when one realizes where they are getting stuck, there is a clarity of why certain things are happening, what is happening. And then obviously, probably knowing and being aware of the tools how to do it. Is that making sense to you, Tanvi?
Yes. So what I'm understanding is that when something is impacting you at that moment, when you become sensitive enough, that's when you can actually realize that, okay, this is like a hole in the wall, right? So here I need to say probably no, or I have to learn to draw a boundary at this point.
Yeah, how we go about it is like the dialing teaches a process of digging. So ideally, like when we do the scan of a person, we ask that why is this person experiencing that? And then we go deeper, but then where did it start? And then what had happened then? So why is that? So many times, why did the higher self let it happen? Because if the person didn't understand that, how is the subconscious mind benefiting out of it? How does it serve it? What is the higher self learning from it? So there are like series of questions while doing the scan. We ask in a person and then identify that pattern. And then in the form of belief work, the downloads, probably there are time people are holding on to curses, vows, oath, contract, commitment, promise, obligation, blessings, psychic hooks, psychic attacks, free floating memories. There are like, ghost imprints. There are many factors which are associated with that. Then start clearing it. Or another way of doing it is we simply start doing the B, because B is a very powerful digging process in itself. And where it is very easy for your mind. And like that's why it is being called the best self-help tool. Probably you may not realize, but while doing that, what you are doing is you are not only clearing all that clutter of the past, but at the same time, you are replacing with a lot of positivity. Your mind knows at some point in your life, probably in this life or another lifetime, you have been that person of substance, person of, strength. You knew it. Because we all start our journey on this earth as a first life as an ascended master, where all the power, all the awareness is there with us. And somewhere in our journey, on our human life, we lost it. And that's what we now remember, because that is our learning. So while doing that, what happens is with the power of the words, you are not only clearing it, you're re-establishing the new feelings in that person.
uh, I wanted to ask one more thing. Inability to energetically have strong shields, as we say that, you shield yourself, that is also somewhere linked to not able to draw boundaries, or is that just my perception?
No, that is also not able to draw boundaries. And at a belief level, it is honestly like at a, the reality is that we all are one. Because if we forget about our what
Yeah.
you see as human, like, we all are simply energy, and there is a oneness everywhere. But my point of vulnerability requires me that somewhere I feel being people's energy being invasive or attacking me requires the need in me to shield myself. Now, when I shield myself, if I put myself in a bubble, there is obviously like there is a sort of a disconnection also. I'm not one. If somebody gets COVID and they are in a bubble, they are quarantined, they are in one room, they are not connected. No matter how much ever you are connected on Zoom but we need human touch. We need human, that's who we are. Because somebody puts a hand and just with their eyes, they convey that I'm there for you, means a lot to you. So at what point I have reached in my life at the level of my consciousness defines what I require, and none of the levels are right or wrong. So, like, rather than judging ourselves that, oh, but this is correct and that is wrong, it is not needed. But you know what, Tanvi, again, I go back to the same thing because we all have lived so many lives. So, like what Kavita said, what you are saying, how do we actually establish that? Boundary is one thing, probably. It does require a lot of subconscious work. Like, and at a cognitive level, at a conscious level, being aware and taking that step, but at the same time, like going to the core issue and recognizing, identifying, and then there is not just one boundary, right? Like we just don't deal with one person in our life. Like if we see in a day also how many people we communicate to, how many people do we meet. Even forget that, like on social media, people are like putting things and there is a live going on, people can pass any comments. There is like, so there is like, boundaries in everything in life. The boundaries in your finances, boundaries in at your workplace, boundaries in your personal relationship. So there are like many different boundaries, and probably having that awareness does take certain time. And to correct the one which probably in our lack of awareness, what we already created, requires some subconscious work. Is that clear, Tanvi?
Yes, yes. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Is there anybody else? No? So drawing my boundaries, since it's already 9:20, yeah. Shilpa, you have a question or it's just a thumbs up?
A small question is that not being able to assert yourself, is that mean that you are not laying your boundary?
One of the reason, but not always. Not being able to assert myself comes, as yesterday I said, comes out of the amount of clarity that I have. That this is
Right.
I am and this is what I believe in. Probably sometimes unknowingly being assertive becomes being little rigid also, and being little stubborn also, because one may feel when you are assertive that you are being very stubborn about it, you are being very rigid about it. You may feel that I'm being assertive about it. Again, it's not just being assertive, like how you express your assertiveness. Is that required for you to be assertive, like being very loud, shouting, or is that a very gentle way of being assertive about it? But that is once I realize, and it is a natural mechanism in me to understand my boundaries, that one of the way is being assertive.
Yeah.
And many times just being silent and letting go
Yeah.
is also drawing boundaries.
Okay.
You're not being assertive there. You are like not bothered, and you are like, let go. Yeah, it's okay if this is what you think, and this is how you want to continue. Because who am I to interfere into your life is drawing boundaries here. I'm not being assertive. But I understand my boundary and I don't interfere. Is my another way of drawing boundaries, right?
Yeah.
So there are like different ways where,
Yes.
yeah, the more clarity we have, the more.
That is the main thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, Namita.
Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning.
So I wanted to ask that, when the auras are merging in a family, you said that the thought patterns sometimes get, intermingled and get transferred. So same is the case with the emotions, and is it also true for like bodily conditions like pain, etc.?
So, if you take pain of somebody else from the family, only and only when uh, there is a very strong belief in you that, or there is a shamanic mechanism, like, there used to be time of shamans where they could draw rain, they could draw things, and there is a very strong receptor in you that with your thought pattern you attract people's pain. In that case you take, otherwise normally physical condition doesn't take it more than the human being. Dogs take it very quickly, because many times when they see their master or the family members being in pain, they are so loyal. It is so ingrained into them. It is so ingrained into them to love unconditionally. We human beings don't love so unconditionally. We are very conditional, no matter what we say. We do have our own conditions and our sets to decide, like, how much I love you depends on how you treat me. You portray your love to me and how much my level of acceptance of it. And then we may claim unconditionally loving people, but we genuinely do not. Unless that, we all become Buddha or Mahavira. But which I think, it is still, we have not yet reached that place of becoming Buddha and Mahavira, because they operate from that oneness. So the pain is somewhere, your like a very subconscious pattern of yours. And probably the another thing can be karmicals. What Varna says in Theta healing is the sticky karmas, or Jainism says chikna karam, the sticky ones, the karmas, which unknowingly we create. Like, when you are laughing, and it is not that you are committing a crime, but for example, you're walking on the road and somebody is on their own and they fall and you laugh on them. They're like, how stupid are they? Can't they understand? I mean, they could have been careful. And then after 5 minutes, you will also come across the same thing to realize it. Or somebody, is walking and you say, like, how sticky is this person? Or how fat is this person? Oh, or like, how can that person be so fat? Can't they do something about it? The way in which you think about them, because drawing boundaries, not only in what you speak, but even drawing boundaries in what you think is important. Making comments on people, judgments, putting labels on people, of like, such a useless person, I mean, this person is this, that anger, the energy that you generate is generating not only the karmas, but completely breaking the boundaries. So for everybody who like were asking, the like Sujata also asked that question. So there you do not require to be assertive. You need to be assertive with yourself, to be respectful to people. You cannot, you do not have any right to speak rubbish about people. Just whatever comes into your mind. And your own irritation and frustration that you remove there does impact you, because that is definitely not drawing boundaries, and on the contrary, makes you more vulnerable to that person's energy. In that case, probably you get their pain, because for you to realize, for you to learn the person's genuineness, or certain times for you to know that you cannot pass loose comments on people. Apart from that, your question, Namita, was for emotions.
Yes.
Yes, so like emotionally, we do get impacted by people around us all the time. That's what we call psychic hooks and psychic attacks. Even people who really love you, many times they are the main culprit or the reason for all your sickness and for all your problems, probably because you are too sensitive or too intuitive. And the person, how they treat you, how they talk, for example, when they are shouting and they're screaming, the higher tone, it is not the words that people use always. It is the tone which impacts a person very, very hard. Because what happens is there is a filter between the conscious and the subconscious mind. And that filter is actually a boundary. So that filter breaks there. If I can, one sec, I will just show you guys. Where is my pen? Yeah.
Not judging people is going to help.
No, I mean, if this is your subconscious, sorry for my drawing, I can't find my pen. So this part is your conscious mind, and this is more of your subconscious. This is upper conscious is 10%, subconscious is your remaining 90%. So from the time the child is born, this filter starts getting developed, because you take in information, and from the way in which the child starts taking in information, by the time they are 2 years old, there is the first wall which is being made. Until the age of 8, they still prominently operate from subconscious level, but the wall becomes very strong. Now, in a family, if somebody has the habit to use higher tone, shouting, screaming, what happens is that point of time, people who are sensitive, this filter breaks, and the messages goes directly to your subconscious mind, and it impacts. You operate more out of your subconscious. And the person who is doing that do not realize that what did they do wrong. They just spoke something, but their tone was high. Why is the other person crying? Why is the other person doing? They sometimes feel so much drama. And like, why are they doing that? But not realizing that if this other person in their childhood probably had a mother or a father who used to shout and scream, had learned it from the beginning and not being able to take it even genetically. So there, like how you say that, your vessel has a particular limit. It's already full. Now everything will break down. And here, your breakdown point, this is your spiritual immunity that has really reduced. A breakdown point has gone down. And the minute that tone goes, this person either will freeze, will shut down, or be vulnerable and take in their pain. And probably in that anger or rage, whatever they think, God, this, like, something, and that happens because they're very, very vulnerable here. It's such a subconscious pattern that we all do not even realize that what is happening to us, and we become vulnerable to it. Probably there is no awareness about it because people have never learned what subconscious mind is. How does it take information? What are the tools to change the programming at the subconscious level? What exactly happens? How does the DNA exchange happen? What is your aura? How does that change? What are the emotions? How does that impact? Like at a subconscious level, there is a lot of learning involved with that. And probably because of the lack of knowledge and lack of awareness and lack of the power there, because if I am not educated, somebody comes and tells me this is a contract I have between you and me. If I cannot read it, then there's always a higher chance of person getting me to I have to sign and I can't sign. So like put a thumb. That's what we do in our life all the time. What we make fun, na? Anguta chap. We all are Anguta chap when it comes to knowing the major aspect of our lives. Because we never learned it, our schools never taught us, and it's high time, I think, that defines our lives all the time. To learn, acknowledge, to understand how to reverse it. What is intuition? How does it guide you? How to utilize it to reverse a pattern? Because that all can be done. Are you fine, Namita? Did you get your answer?
Yes, I got my answer. I'm only
Right.
wondering where to start and what to do.
No, always learning, because I think that was my learning when I had entered in the school of hypnosis, and I was like, why am I going there? My intuition said, and I went. And I was fighting with myself, family was saying, she's gone mad. Like, hypnosis, like people used to consider black magic. Why am I learning? But the more I learned subconscious mind, it was so powerful and strong that I was shocked. And I was like, I mean, how stupid are we that we never choose to understand something which is the defining line, which is the authority which dictates our thought, our actions, which dictates our lives. We do not even know what it is and how does it operate. And like, how stupid are we not to even know what subconscious mind is all about and how to use it.
So you said that, that filter maybe broke at the age of 2, and I stored it in the file of not being loved. That screaming and shouting, I stored it in the file of not being loved.
Definitely, Namita, not even at the age of 2, from the time you were born, from the time you were in the womb. 90% programming comes from the womb memory.
Mm.
The person can regress back to the womb. Absolutely wonderful. Yeah, but like all of you, please understand, if you are going for regression, please check the credentials of your therapist. I have been coming across a lot of clients where understand regression is not important. How the resolution is being taken depends on the wisdom and the understanding of the therapist. So do not just randomly listen to an audio and like regress, or go randomly to a therapist and do that. Check their credential, their certification, how much qualification do they have. You don't go to a compounder to get your surgery done, you go to a doctor for that. So please do that, because it can have the reverse impact. Yeah, a lot of those memories impact our present, and how we perceived it defines our present and our reality. So guys, drawing my boundaries, it's 9:35. If any further things, we will discuss it tomorrow. So the downloads and all, also we will continue doing it. Probably we will do powerful releases tomorrow for each one before we establish more clarity. But I'm happy today with the questions. Everybody has more clarity about boundaries, right? And this is one topic which requires a lot of clarity for each one. So thank you all for joining with lots of gratitude. See you all tomorrow, 9:30. As much as I feel incomplete without a download to end the session, probably you all are. But as much as I'm teaching you to draw boundaries, probably I'm also learning to draw my boundaries and looking at the time and drawing the boundaries. So thank you so much. See you all tomorrow, 9.
9 a.m. Right?
Yes. Thank you.
Thank
Tomorrow is the release day. Join on time.